Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I'll bump my gums a little bit about the Lakers if I can. Of course, play tonight. I believe it's San Antonio. I don't think Derek Harper is available. I haven't. Well, I wouldn't imagine that they're going to play any of the guys that have been out. They're going to give Bronny another look at it. Hopefully, he gets more than 11 minutes. But I don't imagine they're going to play some of those other guys. I can't think of their names right now. Of course, we haven't seen them, so I would imagine that'd be understandable. But yeah, some of those dudes that we'll probably see them when they go to Dallas or against Dallas next week in Vegas. So later on this week, rather. So we'll probably see some of the same guys. But I mean, summer league is summer league, man. I'm not overly excited about it, but I did like that we won the game against the Miami Heat, and we'll go forward, see what they do tonight. I think the game's like at 5:30, I believe. I don't remember though. But yeah, man. So what else is going on with the Lakers? Bradley Beal looks like he's going to head to the Clippers. All things are lining up for the Suns to stretch him, and then probably take that job in Inglewood. It's a good fit. I can't argue. The Clippers are doing a very good job of putting nice names on their team. Guys that I think used to be stars, that are probably role players or close to washed at this point. But they're doing a good job of slapping a bunch of them together. That's really what they're doing. John Collins looks pretty good. I don't think he's washed yet, but he's on his way there. Bradley Beal will be washed soon. Brook Lopez, if he's not washed, he should be this season. James Harden still washed, even though they paid him all the money in the world. He's still a washed version of himself. Kawhi Leonard play about 20 games as usual. Bradley Beal fits right in. He really fits in what they got going on up there. They got some young guys here and there. Chris Dunn is in that tweener area, but I think he's pretty solid. I wouldn't say he's washed. He's got some good in him. But overall, the Clippers are putting together a lot of big names. Not a whole lot of substance. I'd imagine they're going to have to help one another out. I expect most of them to play about 50 games this season. They're going to be leaning in on that bench more than they think they are. So that's my take on the Clippers. I heard somebody say, oh, the Clippers are my favorite to win the West. I'm like, man, please. I'm not doing that with them anymore. I'm not doing that with them this year, especially when I know that they put together a lot of names. But at the end of the day, it's still the Clippers, man. At the end of the day, whoever puts on that uniform just has to understand that. You're putting on a Clipper uniform, fam. Okay? You're not expected to win. You're not going to win. And you'll have a regular season that's pretty solid. I mean, they're in a space where they're relevant, but come playoff time, they'll be going the first round, second round at the best. That's as far as it goes for them. Each and every year. And that's what I would tell Bradley Beal, like, are you sure, bro? Now, I understand that you said you wanted to be a Laker. You were willing to take a trade only to the Lakers or something like that. And I watched a guy by the name of Paul George shun the Lakers because he was unhappy that we didn't trade for him when we had Brandon Ingram and several other pieces that the Spurs were asking for. He wanted us to go up there and snatch him out of there. Not Spurs, but where was he at? OKC. He wanted us to trade the farm for him. That's what it was. He wanted us to. It was said that he was unhappy that the Lakers didn't trade for him, so he chose the Clippers in free agency. Hey, bro, I've seen people do this, Bradley. See, I don't know if that's your mindset. I do think it's a good fit in Clipperland. It's probably a sound way to go, but at the end of the day, bro, you ain't winning nothing there at all. You're not. No one does. It's been a lot of guys, talented guys, put on that uniform as of late over the last 15 years. None of them won anything. We told them that when they got here, and when they left, they understood it. If you had the Lakers on your list, and you want to live in Los Angeles, word to the wise, go to the Lakers. You got a better chance of just having dignity about yourself. So nobody likes the Clippers out here, man. Nope, not really. Like, no one, really. You got a couple, they have fans, but like, they're not people you take seriously, man, honestly. And my Clipper fans know I feel this way. The people who follow me and some of the people I know, they know I feel this way. You're not to be taken seriously because at the end of the day, you live in Los Angeles and you chose the Clippers. So by default, you're not serious. That's the truth. You're not serious about winning. If you were serious about winning, then you choose the Lakers. It's usually some resentment to, the masses, that makes them choose the Clippers. It's like, we hate them because they get so much attention. We hate them because we hate LeBron, we hate Kobe. I'm from Boston. I just moved to Los Angeles. I became a Clipper fan because I hate the Lakers. Like, that's usually what their story is. It's something along those lines. I just don't want to go with the rest of everybody else because all that winning they're doing there. I just hear about them all the time. I don't want to. It's always some resentment that makes a person choose the Clippers if they're from Los Angeles or if they're living in Los Angeles. It ain't usually nothing substantial. The Clippers don't actually give them a reason to root for them. I like rooting for the underdog. Okay, cool, bro. But your team's still trash. Franchise still trash. And that's how it's going to remain, man. I tell you the truth. Ain't nothing going to change there until they change the name and move the team. And I've been saying this, and I'm going to keep saying this. I didn't intend for this to be a Clipper video, but hey, man, this is relevant conversation to Laker fans because it's how we feel in this city. Now, if you're from out of town and you pick the Clippers, you know, that's your business. We don't acknowledge that. That's not, you don't know what's going on in Los Angeles. You know what I mean? Let's be honest. There are a lot of people from out of state. They're Clipper fans because they picked a team. They're like Blake Griffin or something. They're like Chris Paul fans or something. They're not in touch with the city. They don't know what the hell's going on here. If they knew what the hell was going on here, they'd know there's absolutely zero dignity in walking around as an actual Clipper fan. There's no dignity, man. No sports dignity at all. None. If you're serious about winning, if you're serious about basketball in Los Angeles, then you're a Laker fan. And you look at the Clippers in whatever way you look at them. You know? And that's the truth, man. I've been saying this for years, and I'm going to say it now. They ain't winning nothing. They're not going to win anything. They can put Wemby in the uniform, Anthony Edwards. They can do whatever they want. They still going to lose, bro. Because at the end of the day, whoever puts on the uniform is a loser. It's not about what you can do. It's about what it's going to do when you put it on. It's going to lose. That's what it's going to do. And so that's what I have to say to Bradley Beal. If you decide to choose the Clippers, which it looks like you're going to, it's a good fit, basketball fit, all of that, you're not winning nothing. At all. You're coming here to have a good regular season, get your shots up, and when April comes around, you can book your flight to wherever you're going. May come around, you should likely enjoy your off season because you're definitely not playing in June. And so that's just what I want to say to all the Clipper fans out there, man. I've watched teams come into the NBA, like the Toronto Raptors, for example. I'm old enough to remember when the Raptors were an expansive team. They came into the NBA, won a championship, and now exist as champions since the Clippers have even been relevant, man. You know what I mean? They ain't won nothing. Been floating around this city for what? Over 50 years. Not a championship in sight, not a finals appearance in sight, not a Western Conference finals appearance in sight. That's the truth. And the LA market from which to benefit from. People love living in Los Angeles. That's why they've been able to more or less stay relevant in the presence of them mortgaging all their future. It's because people keep signing here because they want to live in Los Angeles and because the Lakers don't have a spot for them. That's what ends up happening. And they still with all of that, can't build something that can get to the Western Conference Finals. Just trash, man. Trash. No dignity in that. So, that's what I want to say about them. As far as the Lakers are concerned, man, everything is floating around DeAnthony Melton. I think the reason why he hasn't signed with the Lakers is because we are probably waiting to see what happens in the buyout market with other players. Malcolm Brogdon's name is starting to float around. I think he fits more of a need than some of the other names that I've heard because he's a traditional point guard. And I think that is something that we really need really badly. And he's a very high level one too, even though his injury history is significant. I don't expect that he would play more than 40 games a season, no matter what's going on. Malcolm Brogdon is brittle, man. He's really brittle, just like Chris Middleton. Some of these guys in this league, they play at a high level, but you can only expect them to play for a short amount of time. And if you don't have contingency plans for that, then you're going to be in trouble even when you sign him. And he's one of those people. If you're not ready for Malcolm Brogdon to miss 60 games, don't sign him. I'm just being honest. Don't sign him because he's not reliable to stay healthy. He's one of the more significantly prone to injury basketball players in modern times, if I'm being honest. He's always hurt. He's always. Ever since he won Rookie of the Year, he spent probably more time on the IR than he has on the basketball field. And so I like Malcolm Brogdon as a high level player. He has some great tools, his big hands, long arms, nice all-star level talent when he's healthy. But is he ever healthy? The answer is no, absolutely not. He's never healthy. So if I'm bringing him in, essentially what I'm telling you is I still need a backup point guard. He ain't gonna be there. And that part is clear to me. That's proven time and time again. And so I like Malcolm Brogdon. I'd be happy to sign him. But if we sign him, I expect him to be gone for a good portion of the season. And that if we don't have a plan for that, then it's almost like you don't have him anyway. That's essentially what I'm telling you. So that's my take on Malcolm Brogdon, top 5 most injury-prone basketball player in the league today. Top 5. Another name I'm hearing that could potentially be bought out is Chris Middleton. He's also one of those guys. His injury history is significant. The only time he didn't have a real bad injury year was the year they won the championship from Milwaukee. So we know what he can do when he's healthy, but is he ever healthy? Hell no. God no. I don't know if he's top 5 injury-prone player, but he's in that top 10 range. You can count on him to be out too. And so if you don't have contingencies for that, you're going to be without him more than you're going to have him, and that is just what he's proven too. So, like, that's the problem with some of these dudes, man. You know, those 2 players particularly, they have all-star talent, but they can't be trusted to stay healthy worth a dang, man. I'm telling you, like, at all. Don't even consider them available. If they happen to suit up to play, be happy about it. But once you start talking about back-to-backs and, you know, long road trips and stuff like that, just pencil them in as out. They're not going to play. So, like, I personally would love to have those players because I think they raise our overall ceiling when they are available. And they raise our overall depth. But the guys that are supposed to be behind them or adjacent to them in the depth chart need to be reliable players to play more than the average, because if they are injury prone too, then we're going to have depth represented on our cap sheet, but no depth represented on the basketball floor. And you're still going to be out there running Bronny 30 minutes in certain nights. It's just, that's the truth, man. That's the truth. So I opt for reliability if I can, but he's a high-level guy. And DeAndre Ayton kind of is injury-prone too, to be honest with you guys. We need to be ready for that, because I already see that we're going to be running a lot of Jackson Hayes this season, which is part of the problem with having him on the roster, because you really don't want to run him. So, like, it's damned if you do, definitely damned if you don't, because if you don't have no center. Ayton goes down, you don't have Jackson. Now you're running LeBron at center, you're running Maxi Kleber at center. Maxi Kleber's coming off a big-time injury, and he looked bad before the injury, so are you expecting him to be a high-level player? You find yourself in the lottery in no time, messing around with that rotation of centers. And so for me, I think the Lakers should be, and from what I understand, this is good news, Jackson Hayes waived his no-trade clause, from what I understand, which is really good news for the Los Angeles Lakers, so that we can actually move him if necessary. I hear that Vucevic may be on the buyout market soon if the Chicago Bulls can't find a trade for him, which to me is another one of those injury-prone guys. Vucevic spent a great deal of time on the IR. I think he's been a little more healthy for the Bulls, though, than he was for the Magic. Because when he got to the Bulls, he was one of the most injury-prone players in the world. I think he had some fairly healthy seasons for his standards with Chicago. He probably just improved his conditioning overall, stuff like that. But he is still significantly injury-prone historically. So, again, be ready for that if you sign him, if he happens to become available. So that's really what you're finding is guys that teams would much rather get trades for, but teams are aware that these guys are likely to hit the buyout market if they just don't trade for them. And so why should I trade for them? You know what I mean? I think that's what GMs are going to have to anticipate sooner, is the environment that a lot of these guys are in right now, where they got these players that otherwise have pretty solid names on maybe expiring contracts, and nobody's really wants to trade anything that they want for those guys because they can just be bought out at a much lesser price, re-signed. I mean, it makes no sense to trade something that I like a second-round pick, for a guy that if we just sit here and ignore them long enough, they'll just be on the free agent market. You don't want to find yourself stuck in that position. Like Phoenix is, like Milwaukee is, like who else? Portland. We've seen this all season long right now. Like with the season that we're having, the off season we're having, you're seeing a bunch of names that you never thought get waived are getting waived. They find themselves on the waiver wire rather quickly with big contracts attached to their names, and you have to wonder, you know, the collective bargaining agreement that the NBA is currently under, how much of that is influencing that? I'd imagine a lot of it. And so, you know, what world would Dame Lillard actually get waived? If not for the one we're in with this collective bargaining apron thing. You know, what world would you actually see DeAndre Ayton get waived at 26 years old? And so, we got to anticipate these things, and this is why I don't think it's smart to sign certain contracts. Sign guys to certain contracts. You may be forced to based on them being important pieces to you, and maybe you project that these guys are going to continue to be important throughout the duration of their contract. But, you know, you could also find yourself having to be Milwaukee, although Milwaukee's situation is a little, that's ill-advised for them to have done this with Dame, because his contract was so lengthy that they're really going to have to pay him like $20+ million for 5 straight years to not play any basketball. And so that's not something most owners would sign up for. In general, you're not going to sign up for that. But just the same, it's like, you know, I look at Jaren Jackson's contract, for example. Is there a world where they're going to find themselves in a similar situation with Jaren Jackson if he goes down with some type of injury? I can see it. Memphis should probably be looking, if I'm being honest with them, if they can't retool better than they have, they probably should be looking to offload salary instead of adding to it. And maybe it doesn't leave you in a very good space for the foreseeable future. Maybe if you're in Memphis' spot, you want to come off as the type of team that takes care of his stars. You know what I mean? Like Genie's been doing, making it as if, you know, we'd go above and beyond for stars to keep that reputation going forward. Maybe that's the right positioning for the Memphis Grizzlies as a small market team, to pay guys. But their ceiling is capped off underneath championship. I don't think they have the pieces right now to really, you know, overachieve. I think that they're probably a play-in tournament team at best right now. And that's after signing Jaren Jackson this massive deal. You know, they moved on from Desmond Bane, so the ceiling is significantly lower. But the only reason why they had to do that is because they paid him some massive contract that was ill-advised. I don't envy their situation, because you have to make tough decisions. But I just think that Memphis, if I'm them, I'm considering what it would have looked like to have not signed Jaren to that deal and instead moved him for picks. Moved him last year at the deadline for picks or something like that. That probably looked like a better path to me being able to build something real. But at some point in time, you got to pay somebody, and you don't want to be the team that gets good stuff, develops it, and then lets it walk because you don't want to pay it. So it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't. You hope you just get the right pieces the first time around when you draft, so that your team can have a ceiling of a championship. But the key to it It's not paying your third guy like he's a number one guy just because he's earned that amount. You got to let him slide, and I think that's where they really hurt themselves. You got to let Desmond Bane should not have ever been signed to that, because that way, if they wouldn't have done that, they could have kept him to other dollar amounts to other players. They could have made sure that they paid other people, and so that's really what I think. Some of those role players that they let kind of slip to the side and go different places, that's where you keep the team that makes you strong enough to compete. That's where you find stuff that works for you and develop the talent, with the role that ultimately you gave Desmond Bane because you paid him so much. And so these are the type of things, it's just like, I just think that's where they really hurt themselves. I understand that Desmond played at a high level, earned himself a big contract, but you gotta make like Dallas did with Luka and just don't. Granted, Dallas should have did that with Luka, but it's not about whether or not it was a choice, the right choice for them. It's about the action, what was necessary. And what was necessary in that situation, in Memphis' situation, is to move on from Desmond Bane before paying him that big contract that ultimately put them in the position they're in right now. And so that's my point of view. I don't really know if it actually equates to them being better or worse, but I know right now, giving Jaren Jackson that contract, Jaren's a really nice starting center, all-star defensive player of the year guy. But it's him as my number 2 next to John Morant, who's unreliable. Do I really have the ceiling that makes any of this make sense in regards to paying all this money for what I have? No. He caps me off underneath championship. I think Jaren Jackson could be an NBA champion if he's the number 3. If he's playing with some superstar dudes and he's the third guy, if he's, you know what I mean? Yeah, we can get to the finals maybe once, you know what I mean? But right now, if you got him making the most money and you got John next to him and the rest of your stuff is just kind of okay or underperforming, nah, you ain't going nowhere. And so at some point in time, owners are going to have to start understanding that you got to anticipate before you sign these guys, the stuff that's going to lock them into contracts that people may not want to trade for, that you may have to, that would put you at risk for having to pay these people to not play ball for a couple years. That stuff right there is, I would be trying to avoid that as an owner, probably maybe in an exaggerated way. Probably get the wrong reputation if I were the owner, because unless a guy is playing at a certain level, unless he's of a certain caliber, he's going to have to take what I offer with respect, or I will be happy to let him walk. Or I'll be happy to trade him before it gets to that, move on from players responsibly. That's just how I'd be wired. It's just not, it's too many strangleholds that leave you underneath champion, in my opinion. Too many strangleholds, too many things that can go wrong rather than what is expected to go right with a lot of the things that are taking place under this collective bargaining agreement. For me, I'd be tiptoeing around a lot of stuff, man, unless I got Wemby or Luka or somebody of that caliber, Giannis. If I don't have one of them dudes, probably not going to even be willing to pay some of the stuff that I'm seeing these owners pay. I wouldn't be willing. I saw Orlando paid, I think, $57 a year, 5-year deal. I think it was like $280 something. I don't remember the number on that. For Paolo Banchero. Is Paolo going to be him, that kind of him? I don't think so, man. I'm going to be honest. I don't think so. I like Paolo a whole lot, though. When I say a whole lot, I think he'd be scoring champion, multi-time all-star. But if I'm paying a guy $57 million a year to be the number 1, I need to know that you're going to be able to take me to a championship. And granted, only one team can win the championship every year. It's not like you're playing in a league with like 6 teams and you got a great chance every year. It's 30 teams. Not everybody's going to win a championship, but you do want to be relevant enough to be able to get close enough. And if that's Orlando's hope, you stay relevant, keep the fans excited, then maybe this is a great investment. He's certainly one of the young players that most of this league is excited about. Somebody would have paid him that, if not Orlando. I don't doubt that he's definitely somebody that you want on your team. And so it's not like it's the worst contract in the league, But I always look at him at a mortal body as one injury or two injuries away from turning a contract that looks pretty solid into a nightmare, man. And while he's at an age where you don't feel too bad about that, I think it's a low risk age that he's in. He just got here, 3-4 years ago. He's lived up to the expectations. It's not anything less than a star, but that's a hell of a commitment for an Orlando team that's never won a championship. You know, especially when you just took on that contract that Memphis just moved on from. When it comes down to it, you got a lot of money going into some players. You know, you got Paolo making a bunch, Bane making a bunch, Franz making a bunch, Suggs making a bunch. That foursome has to be able to get you where you're going. And in my opinion, the Easy East, they probably got a better chance they would if they're in the West. But I don't have them favored to win the championship with that core. They got to find a way to get something else. They got to find a way to get a significantly talented rim protector on a rookie contract or something like that. You see what I'm saying? They need something like that to come about. You know, to get you over the top, you're gonna get something. You need something that you can't necessarily acquire. So why am I mean, maybe I'm looking at this wrong, but why am I investing top dollar into this? Why? And so that's what I struggle with. That's what I really struggle with. If I were putting myself in the owner's shoes, I just don't trust these dudes to be that level of superstar. I don't really see a whole lot of superstar level guys out there in this league right now. Some of them are just kind of, they're stars. Maybe it's because I grew up in a different era where you're looking for different things, but I don't really see too much superstardom out there. There's guys that are stars. They got a few superstars, but like, we're talking about investing record-breaking amounts of money. Most of the field, I wouldn't trust to invest that type of money into, man. I just don't. You got Wemby, you got Giannis, you got Luka. And then some of the guys that we've known of, like Steph Curry and Kevin Durant and LeBron James, they're older now. So it's like, I wouldn't trust them either. Not when it comes to that type of investment. And I'm sure there's a few more. But like some of these dudes that are going to make the big money, I think they would, in a lot of eras, they would be number 2s or number 3s. I think Paolo's probably a number 2 if he played for the Spurs, or number 3 if he played for the old Spurs team. Oh, thank you, man. If you had, let's say, who's another one of them star guys? Look at a guy like Amen Thompson, who's probably going to make a lot of money in the future. Do I think he's going to be a number 1 A1 star? No. Do I think he could make the Rockets pay him $300 million? Yes. But if you put him on, say, Iverson's Sixer team, he's a number 2 behind Iverson. Like, the era I grew up in, these guys are they're not A1s. They're not A1s, a lot of them. Now look at a guy like Cade Cunningham. If he had a Shaquille O'Neal and somebody like that on his team, then yeah, I think he can win multiple championships. Can he win a championship if he's the number 1 guy? I don't think so, man. I think so. Huh. But is he a legitimate number 1 for today's standards? Absolutely. So if you dumb down your idea of what the field looks like, and maybe I'm looking at this all wrong, but if you dumb it down, maybe it does even out to where, yeah, these guys are going to dominate their era, so that's what you're paying them for. But I just think in the long run, if you get these guys 5-year contracts, some of them, they had record-breaking money, you're going to be wanting to move them contracts. They're going to likely be bad contracts. In the end, or near the end of those contracts, I just don't think they're going to be, I don't think you're going to be happy to add those contracts on a good portion of the guys who are getting them right now, man. I don't see it. So that's my point of view, man. I think it's a good thing I'm not an owner. Definitely happy it's not my money I'm spending on this. I think that there, some guys could be coming in the future. Some of the guys that may have came in this year might change that. You know what I mean? I think You know, a guy like Cooper Flagg might change that. This is a new generation coming in. And you could have some A1 great NBA super great guys coming in right now, for all I know. Maybe that's what Ace is going to be. Maybe that's what Edgecombe could potentially become, although I don't necessarily see that with Edgecombe. The point is, you know, you can see a different wave coming over the next 2 years. But what's been here these last couple of years, these guys that have been coming in, I like them. They're solid, but with the exception of maybe 2 or 3 people, I don't see nobody that I really trust to go forward and pay record amounts of money, change life for me and my franchise forever. And I think you're seeing that. That's why a team like the Pacers, with all due respect to them, the best player they got is Tyrese Halliburton. He's very good, but is he like some crazy elite superstar historically? I don't want to put a cap on his ceiling, but like, I don't think he's quite that, you know? Like, I don't see that. I think he's fantastic though, but like, he's not all-world great, man. You know what I mean? Like, all-world, and he got to the finals. Jalen Brunson, hell of a player. Fourth quarter guy, got his team to the Eastern Conference Finals last. Yeah, you gonna compare him to Isaiah Thomas? You gonna compare him to Kobe Bryant? You gonna compare him to... Nah, he's got, like, he would be a number 2 on those people's teams. Maybe a number 3, depending on the circumstance. Am I looking at this wrong? Maybe it's just because I'm old school. Maybe I'm get off your lawn guy now. Maybe that's what I'm looking at here. But a lot of these dudes, they are... The way I see some of these dudes, they're Tracy McGrady, they're Grant Hill, and those are Hall of Famers. You know what I'm saying? High level, super high level Hall of Famers, guys that have their own shoe, guys that are heralded as wonderful, amazing players. They're not Michael Jordan. They're not LeBron James. They're not Shaq. They're not Kareem. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't see that. And those are the type of guys that I want to pay $400 million to. Wemby is that. Victor Wembanyama is most definitely that. I have him in that category. I don't think Shea's that, if I'm being honest, although he just won the championship, killed the little weak field that I'm describing to you. I think he would be, you know what I mean? He's up there though. He's up there. Steve Nash. He's up there in that category range. You know, guys, like real guys, Patrick Ewing, you know what I mean? He's in that category. Hall of Famers for sure. Cream of the crop of their day. Cream of the crop today. Not cream of the crop of the eras I'm from. Nah, man. No, bro. They still getting knocked off by Tim Duncan. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just, that's what I see there. I don't see too much greatness, not like real greatness. I see guys, nice, talented players, above echelon Hall of Famers. You know, guys that can make $500 million in a shoe deal. But do I trust them to just dominate the field? Am I putting them together to, okay, we're going to go out and win a three-peat? Nah, man. They capped off at the level that I just described, in my opinion. They capped off. And that's what I see. And so for me, it's like, and you want me to invest in this era if I'm an NBA owner? The way I'm probably running things, just keep on giving me picks, man. I want the next wave. Show me what the next wave look like. Who's coming in over the next 4 years? Those are the guys that I'm going to bank on being more than the guys that we have right now. I'm just going to be honest with you. I know that's not going to be very popular, especially to the young people who all they know is the era they're in. But when you get a chance to see waves of people's careers, you get to a point where you're 40, 45 years old, that's exactly how you're going to look at it. They'll be like, I've seen enough now to weigh it against what I've seen before. And honestly, though there are a lot of people who will tell you these are the best players to ever play, I'm telling you that most of them are capped off underneath the greatest players of all time. They're capped. They're just not, they're not that. They're going to be solid. They're going to get paid like they're Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, but they're not Larry, they're not Magic. Maybe the next wave will be. And so that's my point of view, man. Probably not a very popular take for a lot of y'all, but I grew up on Kobe, bro. Where is the Kobe? Is anybody actually even close to even looking at Kobe like in any way? Some of y'all say Shea. Hell no, bro. Stop playing. No, there's nobody even close to that. So for me, I think I'm spoiled. Grew up on Shaq and Kobe, and you watching some of these dudes, it's like, that's cool, bro. But the ops that we beat were better than y'all. If I'm being honest with you, the dudes that we used to beat to win championships, they were better than y'all. That's what I see. You know, we used to knock off the Spurs with Tim Duncan and Tony Parker. I think Tim Duncan and Tony Parker would have won so many championships in this era, bro. They would have wiped the floor with some of these dudes. I'm just being honest. I'm just being absolutely and utterly honest with you guys. You know, funny enough, as a Laker fan, I think Luka could actually be in that range of guys that I respect in that regard, though. I do. I think he's already proven that in the first 6 years of his career. The question is, can he get in shape? And can he be a plus on the defensive end enough to where you're actually giving him that respect? But offensively, yeah, he is Larry Bird. He one of them. And I've seen it already. I know that. That's why I feel great and lucky that I'm a Laker fan, because one of the few dudes that I trust in this league to that degree is actually on my team. One of the very few people that I look at and say, okay, that's a real one. Yeah, we actually have. Luka's actually one of them people, in my opinion. We'll see what Shea does. You know what else he does? He had a phenomenal year this year. Maybe if he strings together 2 and 3 years like this in a row, then it's like, all right, yeah, this guy, he is the cream of the crop. I think Shea is really polished. I think he's turned out to be a hell of a piece. But I think a good portion of what it is that he benefits from is how souped up his team is, if I'm being honest. There are a lot of people who would win in his position. You know what I mean? Like, you got a team souped up that damn much, and you just happen to be a superstar level player, yeah, you're going to win championships. That's just what it is. It's a lot of guys that never won a championship. If you put them in Shea's position, they'd have won this year. Prime Charles Barkley, prime Allen Iverson, prime Reggie Miller. I think all those people would have won a championship with this Thunder team. And maybe Shea brought some things to the table that those guys don't, that gave the Thunder an edge in maybe certain ways. Who knows, right? But just in general, when you got a team souped up like that surrounding you, and you're a guy that can go for 35 points, yeah, you're going to win a championship. You're going to win a championship for sure. What's going on, partner? All right. You too, bro. And so that's what I see there, man. It's just one of those situations where if I'm a Laker fan, I feel great about my team, man. I feel great about my team, but at the same time, I think we got a long way to go. Even in this field, even with Luka and LeBron, we still got a long way to go, because we need to get other players to kind of soup up what Luka does. But if you put Luka, for example, if you put Luka on OKC, yeah, you win a championship. So, easy. And that's why I encourage all of these owners and everybody who follows me to put more draft picks on your roster. Try to benefit from all these lottery picks coming in. Look at what Utah got now. Nothing but lottery picks coming in. They're going to make a super team out of this thing, sure enough, with all these guys they're putting together that they're getting in the draft. It's so important that teams don't forego that so that they can get role players and win now guys that have been in the league for 100 years, like what the Rockets are doing, thinking they're going to win a championship. You're not going to win nothing that way, not long run. And what you got to respect is that you're going up against teams that didn't do that have young bodies being thrown at you at a high level, a bunch of lottery picks that are all coming into their own at the same time. That's why I think the Rockets are ultimately going to find that they're not that much better than probably Phoenix was last year. Why? Because they got a bunch of guys on their team that are more name than substance now. KD, how many games do you expect KD to play right this year? Which I think KD's just going to turn back the clock and turn into prime Kevin Durant from Golden State? Prime Kevin Durant from OKC? No. That brother's probably going to play about 45 games this season. Dorian Finney-Smith, man. I just got through watching Dorian Finney-Smith. I know exactly what he can and cannot do. That's a role player, bro. He's overpaid. He spends a lot of time on the injury list as well. He's aging fast. I'm not looking at him as a real piece, bro. I'd rather have Cam Whitmore in that position. You know, rather than have KD, I'd rather have, and I say this with some subtlety, Jalen Green's upside. What I think Jalen Green could potentially be over the next 2 years, hold on to that before I'm trade for KD. I really would. Yeah, he has some issues, but like the kid is overly athletic and his career is ahead of him. So you trying to tell me you'd rather have KD at 50 years old or whatever he is than to have this kid at 26, 25, who's already showing you if he can just put it together, he's going to be one of the best scorers. Probably less the price, in theory, because he could demand a lot on the market too. So, my point of view is you give yourself a very short window. You got to win now. When they say win now, that means just exactly that. We're hoping to get a championship. Because we know if we keep this thing for 2, 3, 4 years, the idea is these guys get old and washed in our uniform. Yeah, you got Alpi. Yeah, you got Thompson. Maybe you keep Eason. But, like, these are aging people. So the window is right now. And the problem is you're going up against a team that's just getting started, just won a championship in Oklahoma. With a bunch of young players, they timeline is win now and later. With the timeline they're on, they're all expected to still be getting better 2, 3 years from now if they keep the team together. So it's like you're running into a brick wall. You're building something that's going to have old men running up against young players at a high level. No, it ain't going to work. It ain't going to work. I've been seeing teams do this for years now with Kevin Durant, ironically enough. The Brooklyn Nets tried to do it with Kevin Durant. The Phoenix Suns do it with Kevin Durant. It doesn't work. Now, I think Houston's team's probably better than any of those teams because of the presence of Amen Thompson and Alpi Sengun. They're better than those teams. But they ain't going no further than those teams are unless those two kids drag them there. That's what I see. And OKC don't have that problem at all. San Antonio, though I think they may be 2 years away, they don't have that problem at all. So everybody on their team is only getting better, whether they win this year or not. They're getting better. Next year, you got to deal with them again. What you going to put together next year? Still got Dorian running around, huh? What's happening after that? You still got Dorian 3 years from now, too, man. Please, stop playing with him. It doesn't work. No country for old men when it comes to this basketball thing, man. And their teams keep putting together these teams. They're not doing nothing. You keep putting these teams together. I've been watching him be a role player for 10 years. I've seen teams do this, 4 years ago? Everybody want PJ Tucker. Let's get PJ Tucker. I told y'all then PJ was washed. Where has he been since? Washed land. Washed. That's Dorian Finney-Smith. You got to anticipate where a guy is headed versus where he's at. You can't pay him for what he did yesterday, today, man. Dorian used to be a monster with Dallas. So I'm going to bring him in 7 years later, and he's going to give me that. No, he not. He not. He really not. Yo, speaking of which, what the hell is Philadelphia doing, man? Here we go again with this nonsense. They brought back Kyle Lowry and Eric Gordon. Did you not listen to your fan base all last year? They hated them two. Them dudes are old, man. They have nothing left. Kyle Lowry is 39 years old. Why is he on your basketball team, Daryl Morey? After the type of season he had last year, you still doing this with him? Seriously? It's embarrassing to see that. I've been listening to Philadelphia 76ers fans tell me how ridiculously out of shape both of those players were last year and how often their coach put them on the floor to get ran past. You can't keep signing these washed up dudes just because they did something 15 years ago, man. These teams are going to suffer because of these decisions by these ridiculous general managers, man. We got to stop this. Yo, Kyle Lowry, done. He's been done for 3 or 4 years and he's done, man. Eric Gordon, done. There's no more, Philly. No more, dog. There's no way you listen to your fans at all if you put these people on your basketball team, Daryl. You said your team was going to get younger. What the hell are those two old men doing there, bro? I'm not a Philly fan by any stretch of the imagination. But I was legitimately angry when I saw those acquisitions. Like, it arose some anger in my gut. I was pissed. Like, are you serious? Like, if you want to bring those guys in as assistant coaches, have at it. This is a great opportunity for a guy like Kyle Lowry to help mentor that basketball team. But to actually have him as a running piece in 2025, after what you just saw, it's awful, bro. I don't care if it's a 1-year deal at Dirt Teeth price. You could do better giving that to a prospect. There are guys in the undrafted market that I would rather have those opportunities and give them old men that opportunity. It speaks to Daryl Morey needing to be fired, bro. And I don't know what the hell's going on in Philadelphia. People complain about Rob Pelinka here. Rob isn't perfect, but there are much worse GMs out there, Laker fans. You got to understand this. In the presence of what it is we're seeing, you got to know when your GM is not doing things that make you significantly worse. Because there are GMs out there that are making their team significantly worse to where they don't have no future, to where they're bringing in pieces that are going to step in front of young guys that need to develop. Rob ain't doing none of that to us. And I want people to understand that. It's a lot of misguided unhappiness pointed at Rob because they want to see certain things done. A lot of those fans would be happier with these GMs that we're talking about because they ain't no better. Some of these fans think like these dumbass GMs. Bring me the wash guy. Sign something, anything. Just sign something. Sign something. They don't understand the first thing about market. They don't understand the first thing about wear and tear. They don't understand the first thing about, fit. In a lot of cases, they just want transactions made, accredited to their team. And if they see something, if it's a player that they've heard of, they're happy. It's like, man, get out of here. Go be a fan of some of these stupid teams with these stupid GMs, fam, so you can see transactions made left and right. We're trying to do things the smart way so that good young talent can be in our uniform for 10, 15 years. Signing Dorian Finney-Smith to a $14 million contract for 4 years does not help you with that. Signing some of these old-ass dudes, man, they can't help you, bro. You can't get nothing for them on the market. They stink when it's time to trade for them. They stink when it's time to play them. No, fam. At some point in time, we just got to start pointing out some of these things and saying, yo, the Lakers don't have this problem. A lot of y'all mad at Rob Pelinka because he's patient. And the same people that are applauding us getting Luka to Don wanted to trade away the pick that was in the trade for something small, something that wasn't even that good. You know what I mean? Oh, just trade him. Trade those picks. You wouldn't even have to trade to get Luka if you would have traded him away when y'all wanted to. You seen all this work out and you still mad at our GM for being smart and patient. This is why one of the many reasons why my channel exists. It's so that we can speak some life into this because the media ain't going to tell you this. A lot of Laker talking heads think like the rest of these fans and these dumb GMs. If I heard of them, bring them to my team. No. If you heard of him, chances are he's been running around. He's tired. His legs are shot. And he's probably already had a surgery on his knee. No. You're trying to look for the next best thing, not yesterday's thing. Yesterday's thing is done. There's nothing left. And that's what I'm trying to express to people, man. LeBron James is an anomaly. There's only one Bron who can run around and be relevant at 40 years old. Once a guy hits about 35, it's time, man. We got to see what you're doing. If you're not doing nothing, bro, you got to go, bro. You're taking opportunities away from people who can really help the basketball team. And for the sake of having a sure thing, all the young players make mistakes. Man, these old guys getting ran past, though. Weigh that against that. I mean, that's what I tell you. Weigh that against that. If you see a young player mess up a defensive assignment, you're going to see an old guy get ran past by a young player. Weigh it against that. I mean, either way, it ends up a minus. You do better seeing the young guy get better with the opportunities given than seeing the old guy get older and continue to get blown past with no upside and no trade value. But you can't tell these GMs that because they don't want to hear it. You can't tell them that because they've heard of a guy and they can get him and they know his agent. So as they understand his agent, has done work with them in the past, we're going to sign him now. Even though he has nothing left, he helps our relationship with the agent. It's like, man, these type of games make your team trash. These type of decisions make it so that when it's time for you to make a trade for your favorite player, he going to your rival. Because you didn't have the trade package, because everything you put on your team leading up to that was done in this vein. He's been in the league 15 years. That's a veteran. No, that's a coach. That's a coach. Put him on as an assistant coach or a specialist or something. You don't need him running around against 20-year-olds. Come on, man. At some point in time, we just got to understand where the NBA is going versus where it's been. And if you want your team to be state of the art, so to speak, you can't keep bringing yourself old men. Video 44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.